January 6th was a dress rehearsal, and there's a report out from RollingStone that no one is talking about that shows that the Republicans are on their way to steal the 2024 election. I'm going to walk you through this report, and I'm going to tell you exactly what we can do about it. But first, do you remember when the Heritage Foundation leader said this?
The good news, I told you I would tell you why it's bad, maybe add a little bit of color, but also tell you why we're going to win. We are winning. There are a lot of victories that have been secured. Some of them are partial. Some of them in ways that the other side doesn't yet know are foundations for what's coming. And that's just the beginning. And we're not going to tell you everything that's coming. Because for the first time that I'm aware of, the conservative movement, or as I really like to put it, the common sense movement in the United States has really nothing to do with ideology, is ready to fight.
Now, a lot of people, when they heard those statements from the Heritage Foundation leader, were wondering, what the hell does that mean? That's cryptic as hell and scary. Well, they were right. It is scary. Turns out it's not so cryptic because Rolling Stone has uncovered what this man was talking about. Real quick, if you could like and subscribe. Liking and subscribing helps get this content, and this needs to get out to as many people as possible, and liking and subscribing does just that. Rolling Stone is out with an article that no one is talking about. It came out 2 days ago. I just saw it for the first time today, saying these swing state election officials are pro-Trump election deniers. At least 70 pro-Trump conspiracists are election officials in key battleground counties, and they are poised to make a giant mess on election day. What this means is there are local election officials who are basically insurrectionists, let's just call them that. They are people who are willing to overthrow our democracy in pursuit of Donald Trump becoming dictator for life. They are in key positions in swing states, and Rolling Stone has uncovered this. Here is one excerpt. When election night comes in November, it will be up to thousands of local election officials to certify election results in their counties. Among those election officials are scores of Donald Trump supporters who believe his lies and conspiracies about stolen elections and will be in a prime position to act on those beliefs to try to aid his campaign in November. In the swing states, pay attention to this, of Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Very important states. Rolling Stone and American Doom identified at least 70 pro-Trump election conspiracists currently working as county election officials who have questioned the validity of elections or delayed or refused to certify results. So that means it's already happening. Like this isn't some sort of like, this could happen. The people in these positions have already tried to refuse certifying results or delay them. It goes on to say that polls indicate that the race is going to be very close. We know this. So if employed, if what we're talking about here is employed on a large scale, the certification refusal movement would have disastrous consequences, fueling the fire of election conspiracies and delaying the tallying of votes, crucial to determining the next president. I'm going to tell you where I think this is going to be heading at the end of reading these. If you're liking this content, just leave a blue heart to let me know. The investigation revealed hundreds of posts from officials expressing belief in lies about the 2020 election and skepticism about November, as well as a myriad posts about every right-wing culture war issue and conspiracy theory imaginable. A veritable stew simmering in the toxicity of the online American right. These are the people who are working our elections. These are the people who are going to be certifying the results in a close election. These are some quotes from their posts. Wow, I can't wait until after the next big election. We'll get to find out more Biden corruption. They're not the smartest people. And Weiler, an election canvasser in Bay County, Michigan, wrote in 2023 of January. Another Michigan election canvasser, Bonnie Kellogg in Muskegon County, shared a false right-wing news story in November 2020 headline, breaking down the greatest electoral heist in American history, among the other denier content. So these are people who are steeped into the right-wing media ecosystem. They are totally warped by misinformation, and these are the people who are going to be certifying or not certifying the election. Lizzie Ulmer, a senior vice president at the state's United Democracy Center, which tracks election deniers at the state and national level, says that election conspiracists are at work at every level working to call this November's results in question, but are especially focused on certification. Quote, From the influence of calling for hand counts of ballots to the pressure to not certify an election, it's all connected to this broader effort to change the rules so that if needed, election deniers can change the results of an election. It makes sense that certification has become one of those tactics used by the election denier movement to throw sand into the gears of running a free, fair, and smooth election. So I don't mean to scare you, but we need to be fully aware of what is going on and what they are doing and willing to do in order to gain power. And if they get power, they will never let go of it. So we have to be eyes wide open with this sort of stuff. And where I think this is heading is that they're gonna use a couple of these people, a couple of these pawns in these local areas so that they can challenge perceived problems when they lose, because they are going to lose. Trump's going to lose. That is for sure. And they're going to try to take this all the way up to the Supreme Court, to that Supreme Court that has ruled in favor of Trump 9 times out of 10. Now, I don't know what would happen if it gets to that point. I don't know what's going to happen when it gets to that point. But I do believe that's where they want to try to take this. Donald Trump loves that court. He loves that court more than he loves his own children. So he wants them to make the final say on the election, not the American people. And so what do we do about this? What do we do about this? One, you've got to tell folks. You got to tell folks that this is happening. Anyone who will listen, don't tell your right-wing MAGA aunt. She's not going to care. But if you have blue wave Dems in your life who are not aware of this plot, you got to let them know, because it is really important that people understand the full stakes of this election and what they are doing on their side to try to win. I'm a little upset that Dems seem to be a bit flat-footed on the legal coup aspect of this. But I do think that one way that we can make sure that they can't steal the election, and this is going to sound trite, but we have to make sure we vote in numbers so big that they can't challenge the results. I don't want another Florida 2000 election where the Supreme Court decides who wins when 1,000 votes have to be recounted over and over again. Do you want that with Trump in this Supreme Court? I don't think we need to get there. There are so many more of us than there are them. Remember that. They are a minority party who gains power through archaic structures of our democracy. If not for the Electoral College, and if not for gerrymandering, they'd have no power. So they have to do things like this in order to try to win. But the way that we can win is by flexing our muscle of majority. There are more of this than there are of them. And as long as we show up in historic numbers in November, none of this is going to matter.
I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?